The big bang of alternative comedy may have happened here in Soho, where bangs are a way of life, but by the end of the 80s, the alternative boom had spread across the known universe, even to those uncharted regions covered by Anglia television. Comedy was the new rock and roll, and its stars were hailed as the new Elvis, the new Lennon and McCartney, or if they were particularly unlucky, the new Bros. But as comedy clubs began to expand in number, the nature of the material was noticeably changing. Political satire, once one of the defining characteristics of alternative comedy, was becoming dull and cliched. Jokes about Margaret Thatcher, the Vanessa Feltz of the 80s, were getting as tired and repetitious as jokes nowadays about Vanessa Feltz, the Margaret Thatcher of the 90s.
Yeah, anyway, some comedy, yeah. What about Thatcher then, eh? Hey! What about Thatcher? Hey!
A lot of comedians had their one Thatcher joke that they put in at the beginning, so it made their act look a bit political. And they then realised that because the climate had changed, they could drop that and just concentrate on what they wanted to do.
What about Thatcher? Yeah, I'll just... where's she gone? Yeah.
When you're David Frost in 1963 and you say politicians are a bunch of lazy, conniving sods, it's very fresh and shocking. By the time you're saying it in 1989, you're telling people something they've already heard. Yeah, we know that. What's the other joke?
Kind of for a new administration of government in this country.
Everybody's been asking me if I'll still be doing all the lefty politics now that Labour are in. Well, no, I'm not. They don't bother anymore, why should I?
It's a myth that, you know, oh, Labour's in, no one can do satire. But it's not a myth to say the times are less interesting, frankly. There isn't the confrontation in the air.
Mates of mine were giving me loads of kind of, Mark, man, what are you going to talk about now there's no Tory party? Who are you going to talk about on stage, eh? The Labour government have given me the odd snippet of material.
I think that there is good political stand-up comedy around at the moment, but the problem is that people just don't want to listen to it anymore, so the people that are doing it don't tend to have as much of a voice as they did then.
Frank Dobson, this is the guy who is thinking of charging us 10 quid just to visit the doctor. 10 quid. You just got 10 quid. There's people going in there. There's me tenner. I better be fucking ill.
Even though a lot of people are dissatisfied with New Labour, myself included, we're supposed to be very relieved that we got rid of the Tories, so we're not really supposed to be criticising them quite yet.
What's that, Mr. Tony Blair? You're frightened. What's that? You're itching for a fight?
I don't believe the critical power of the young comedians has had any effect.
Go on, take me, you girls.
Satire wasn't effective. None has ever been, I don't think, actually instrumental in changing history or changing social attitudes.
Mr. Tony Blair, are you drunk? What's that? I've got more pay and I'm going to piss it away.
But what I think has been an important improvement has been the singer-songwriter, has been the comedian comedy writer who is expressing his or her own views and developing material for his or her performance.
I don't mind living on my own. Sometimes when you live on your own, you get anything, there's no one here. Sometimes you think, yeah, hey, no one here. Do what I bloody like. Have a bath, the door open, go mad.
So I think the emergence of the person who can actually figure out his own material and then go on and be Alan Davis or be Jack Dee has been a marvellously exciting new strength to comedy and has brought out a lot of stuff that I think writers sitting alone in a room wouldn't have dreamed up for themselves.
There's a film that annoyed me as well, The Elephant Man. Everyone say, oh, you must go and see it, so well directed, it's all in black and white, it's a brilliant film, it's a really moving film. I went to see it, I just want to see how ugly he was, that's all, yeah.
I think when you doing material, for instance, about the Elephant Man film, it was just a daft joke. It was like, whatever happened to the Elephant Man? He made that one great film and you never saw him again. It was just a silly joke, isn't it? You know?
I was sitting there, I was 10 minutes into the film, I was like, oh, come on, take the bag off your head. Stop milking it. Can't be that bad, you know? And then he didn't, it was, I thought, worth every penny, I thought.
I don't think that's laughing at someone who's deformed. But it's an interesting point because, you know, our taboos and have simply shifted from the taboos of yesterday, that people were being slated for doing jokes about black people and so on and so forth. But now you go to any comedy club and they're all doing jokes about old people. Well, you know, what's the difference really? It's just that the target has been changed to suit our own tastes.
And everyone comes out of that film saying, "Oh, wasn't it sad? What a tragic film! Wasn't it sad how he had to travel with a circus?" No. So what? You wouldn't go far hitchhiking, would he now? That made a dull old movie, wouldn't it? You know, yeah, let me in your car. Yes, I think not, thank you.
Jack D does... They are jokes. You can separate them. You can quote them. They won't be as good as when you hear the comedian do them, but you can actually put them in print and they're still funny, as was, say, the American Stephen Wright.
About 4 years ago I was... No, it was yesterday. I was cleaning out my closet and I found an old bathing suit that I had made out of sponges. I remember one time I wore it into a pool and then I left and no one could go swim until I came back.
The stuff that we used to feel like that we had to make a stand against is gone. So what do you do as a comedian now? You talk about your life, or you try and invent your own surreal world, like Harry Hill or a Bob Mortimer, or these people that I admire.
Tragic sight outside, right? You may have seen him. Elderly man, right? Elderly man standing with his hand out, begging, like that, right? Hand out, begging. And he's singing a little song, right? He's singing, "When I was young, I thought that life was so logical." I went up to him and I said, "Supertramp." He said, "Oh, thanks very much."
I actually think that a lot of medieval castles were overthrown because of a basic design flaw. And that was that the enemies used to get in through the gift shops. Strategically, it's the weakest point, isn't it, when you think about it? You got your turrets, your drawbridge, your moat. I've got no quibble with that. No, two middle-aged ladies at a turnstile, it's not going to work out, is it?
There are a lot of circles involved in things like politics. Extreme right-wing, extreme left-wing politics join up. Madness and genius joins up at the back. And also with fashion. So you've got, over here, you've got looking like a dickhead. Then you have average, normal looking. Then you have cool, hip and groovy, looking like a dickhead.
I find it difficult to find the technique of, to find the well of where you get the material from. In the end, it was obvious. It became blindingly obvious. All you do is you just talk about anything that interests you.
Original sin. What a hellish idea that is. People having to go, "Father, bless me for I have sinned. I did an original sin. I poked a badger with a spoon." I've never heard of that one before. 5 Hail Marys and 2 Hello Dollys. All right, thank you.
Stand-up comedy is one of the truest creative mediums going because if you talk about your own sad life, and everyone's life is sad to some extent, you can't have a fantastic life. You just, it's got to be these crap things going on. And if you talk about that, and you just present them in a funny way, then it sort of works.
We have pets because they lower our blood pressure. This is apparently officially it, but they lower our blood pressure. And I don't know quite how they do that. You stroke them, you go to sleep, and while you sleep, the dog puts one of those big puffy things. That's 180/60. What does that mean? I don't know, a dog.
I found that if you just talk about the reality of things, and then you just flip as you're going down, you just twist something, and then people will follow you because they know, supermarkets is in there, just buying some sausages, we do that. And suddenly, they're with you in a surreal world. I found you could just slide them into it, and then everyone just follows.
They lower our blood pressure. You stroke a dog, dogs go woo, and cats go because they're drilling, aren't they? That's what they're doing. They're drilling. They drill for gold. They drill for oil. They drill for anything, just for the love of drilling. When they're behind your sofa, they're just drilling. They've got goggles on. It's okay.
Booyaka, booyaka, booyaka! Oh, sorry, wrong gig.
Around about 86, which was about the time I did my first gig, I think. I mean, there weren't any other black comics around doing stand-up. Certainly not on the, what you want to describe as the alternative circuit. Anyway, I'm going to disclose a bit to you now, folks. I'm actually a minority comedian. Only a minority of people think that I'm funny. It was a white audience, white clubs, white promoters. I mean, in a sense, that wasn't that big a deal because, after all, I'm a black person living in a predominantly white country, so, you know, it just felt like this was what I wanted to do. And this was a situation I had to do it in. Okay, a lot of people say, well, what is it? You black guys, especially black comics, you're going on about this black thing on, so, what's the big deal? Huh? I said, just that I found the stuff I was doing about being a lesbian wasn't really working, okay? I remember going on stage and there's this monkey chanting going on and like feeling inside, no, I'm not going to let this affect me. And actually thinking, if it comes to a fist fight, I'm going to handle myself. And this is what you're about to do. You're about to go on stage and make these people laugh, you know.
Successful comedians have got catchphrases. That's right, yeah. See, I've got one.
Yeah, so have I.
Well, let me do mine first.
No, I'll do mine. Because we need something that relates to us.
Yeah.
Okay?
All right.
Yeah. All right,
what you got?
Cuck a fart.
We were doing the live circuit prior to going on TV, and I remember we went down to the Tunnel, Malcolm Hardy's club, as two young guys, must be about 18, 19 then, and got terrified just because of the look of the crowd. And the venue looked like it had blood stains on the back of the stage. And if you can imagine the stage there and you're looking at the stage and say, hang on, that's somebody's blood. That's a performer's blood. You know, and Minish was looking there and the crowd was like, oh, it was a really hostile kind of crowd. And we didn't even go on stage. We told Malcolm we'd be back in a minute and we ended up running down Rotherhithe Tunnel, man. Literally, physically running down, fear.
Hello, good evening, my name is Lenny Henry. Oh, asshole in the audience.
I remember seeing him live and just being blown away by just how, and that was the one thing I think I learned from him, by how commanding he was on stage, just like the sheer authority, just sheer physical presence.
And my mum used to comb it for me to punish me, you know. She'd put the comb and she'd be really rough, you know. You must comb your head. You must comb your head. She sounded like a rap record. You must comb your head. You must comb your head, Shaka Khan. You must comb your head.
Lenny was very interested in doing, and this was very exciting, in doing a couple of characters that were kind of like satirising the black middle class.
You know, a lot of people having a go at Sting and the police. You know?
What, the police have been having a go at Sting?
No.
But also, in a way, I suppose, satirising the very politically correct white middle class as well.
The band, the police. A lot of people have to go at Sting and the band, the police. You know,
why?
For being sort of rather sort of like derivative, you know, of reggae music and all of that. You know.
Yeah.
But you know something? I mean, one shouldn't say this too loudly.
What?
I actually prefer Sting to Bob Marley.
I know what you mean.
Well, the main genesis of the Real McCoy, I think, was Lenny, who went to the BBC and wanted them to get a black sketch show off the ground.
I mean, the bigger things now, aren't Nelly? Gordon Bennett, strike a light, stone the crows I am. I'm going to get myself elected. Local council, clean up Walford.
BNP?
That's the one. Let me practice my canvassing on you.
Oh, yes, now that sounds very interesting.
Right. Vote for me, you daft bin!
Real McCoy was like a sketch show, some funny stuff, and it was written basically by the performers, which was a good thing because we had a lot of control over what we were performing.
Evening, Frank.
Have you seen my fat wife? Go on, a pint if you please. My wife is so fat, she's fatter than my mother-in-law. No. My wife is so fat, she
had to go on a diet.
Black comedians prior to that, you know, that they really didn't have the control over what they were saying, or they didn't feel comfortable as a solo one black person trying to convince a room full of white producers that this was funny, this is funny, and the white producer say, well, no, I'm not sure. Why don't we go this way? Just put a pie in his face, okay? That might work better.
Has anyone seen my briefcase? See, I'm going to a party. I don't really need the briefcase. But I'm keeping it with me in case the party gets boring. Then I can go through some of my examination papers.
I was buying a suit. I had there's a Nigerian in the shop, and he's come up to me and said to me, "Are you the comedian? What the hell are you doing causing commotion and disrepute amongst the world in relation to us?"
I'm a Nigerian. You can't talk to me that way. I'm studying to be an accountant. Just shut up, bloody accountant.
In a sense, it is a stereotype because that's the shorthand. I mean, you haven't got time to fill in the details.
The English, they get so drunk and they come in the cab office, right? And they get in the cab and they start singing that stupid song. You know the stupid song they're singing? Here we go, here we go, here we go. Here we go, here we go, here we go. Just the 3 words over and over and over.
But in terms of the way that's been received and certainly my motivation, no way is it a negative stereotype.
How do you do, Mr. Singh? A real pleasure to meet you at long last.
But you are.
Oh, in love with your daughter, of course.
No, you are.
Happy to be here, naturally.
No. But you are.
Papa, listen, Dave says he'll even consider converting to Sikhism for me.
How are you going to get all that hair in a bloody turban?
I got into the real McCoy through sheer desperation, actually. I heard that Charlie Hanson was doing a new black sketch show, which nothing had been done like that before. I happened to see him in the foyer of Channel 4 and just threw myself at his feet and said, "Please." You know, I've been doing comedy characters for ages. I know there's never going to be another show that's going to even let me get a foot in the door. And to Charlie's credit and to the credit of the cast, they didn't go, "No, actually black means Afro-Caribbean and you're not allowed." They actually said, "Well, yeah, bring something to the table, we'll see how it works out."
I will never agree to this. Never. What are you doing?
I'm a doctor.
A doctor? Have a cigar. Beautiful boy, beautiful.
The original title, actually, of Goodness Gracious Me, was Peter Sellers is Dead, which may have been a bit risque. So we wanted to choose something that was, you know, obviously self-mocking. We wanted to sort of tackle the cliches about, you know, funny Indians with the waggly heads quite early on. And as Peter Sellers was sort of, you know, one of the first blokes to actually do that, like we thought the song title was appropriate.
Goodness gracious me!
What you realise is, with good comedy, that the characters that really do work are the ones that strike really resonant chords in everybody else.
Come on, old chap, how much is here? Do you take Berkeley God?
I'm afraid it's not a question of money. Dear me, how can I put this? Your names would not be appropriate on our members' list.
I'm not sure I'm quite with you, old fruity.
The Coopers, actually they're called the Kapoors, but they're so desperate to be English that they've basically forgotten who they are, act white, and are astonished when they encounter racism, which is always the punchline, of course, at the end of every sketch, is that however English you try and be, someone will remind you that you're the wrong colour.
Look, no packies. All right.
I should hate quite
We don't just target Asians. We have a really good old pop at everybody, including the white community. In fact, one of our most popular sketches was called Going for an English, which was a bunch of Bombay louts in an English restaurant in Bombay.
Bombay is the restaurant capital of India. So how come every Friday night we end up here, eh?
Because that's what you do, huh? You go out, you get tanked up on lassis and you go for an English. Yeah. I mean, it wouldn't be a Friday night if we didn't go for an English, you know?
Which white people really reacted to and just, you know, said it was brilliant and very uncomfortable, and which Asians just thought was fantastic. It was finally revenge for all those poor waiters that have stuck it out for years and years and years.
I say, James, you're my mate, aren't you, James? James is my mate, you know.
It's James.
James, yeah, that's what I said, damn it.
Hey, hasn't he got lovely pale skin, yeah? It's really nice and pasty, you know?
Yeah, but you know what they say about white men, don't you?
All right.
That's the great thing about having two cultures. You've got that objective third eye, if you like, that every creative person needs. We see both cultures with a certain degree of objectivity. We belong to both and neither. And for a comedy writer, that's a real gift.
We have the entitlement as black people to laugh at ourselves without being patronised and put into some kind of protective cocoon. And that is a very powerful thing, for us to have indigenous comedy that satirises us amongst ourselves, and if other people want to laugh at it as well. I mean, that's actually a form of cultural development.
You see the black woman? The black woman is the best woman to have. Me said the black woman is the best woman to have. That's what I tell my white girlfriend every day.
These are sort of virgin footsteps in the snow, and it's really exciting to be part of that.
It's the new alternative, I suppose, if you want to use that word. It's the new thing because it's growing.
And I was outside McDonald's and I saw Bob Marley with his little pet mouse, and he was getting him a little cheeseburger. What's wrong? White people see Elvis.
I'm not going to, I wish to, via my comedy, create a different state of consciousness in mankind whereby people of all disparate origins can form a union and a bond whereby world peace will then develop. I mean, I'm going, hey, this is funny, have a laugh.
So while black and Asian acts were exploring a new, fresh alternative comedy, some established performers were exploring a new, fresh alternative income: advertising. To some old-school lefty comics, it was simply a betrayal. To those comedians plugging beer, building societies, and more beer, it was simply irresistible.
I'm not here. I'm actually here. I've saved so much time not queuing at Abbey National at lunchtime that I'm already 2 minutes further down the road getting on with my crazy madcap life. Look, I'll be there in a jiffy.
I've often asked people about this and they always deny it and say, well, it's a bit of a laugh doing advertisements and I like to just practice a few voices in it. But, they get paid a lot of money doing it.
Abbey National. Have you got a banana? Because life's complicated enough.
I'm not saying it's necessarily wrong, but it's difficult to maintain that you're the voice of revolution and some alternative lifestyle, and you're with the people on the streets if you're advertising building societies and lager and being paid handsomely for it.
You want it, sir? Yes. Well, you can't have it, sir. It's ours. We're closed.
I turned down a lot of commercials. I don't eat meat, and I was offered a lot of money to do a commercial for bacon. And I just couldn't do that.
I've earned money the difficult way as well, and I know I prefer doing it the easy way.
After I did Jonathan Creek, my agent said to me, listen, we've had this offer to do some commercials, and I know you don't want to do them, but you better look at this offer, because it is a stupid amount of money. So, and I couldn't turn it down.
You could have missed out there.
I had to then take the consequences, which were frankly predictable and inevitable.
It's not Terry's, it's mine.
There's another more important reason why I wouldn't do an advert, which goes beyond any political consideration, which is that I just think you look like a tosser. I just think you don't get the rate for the job, to be honest.
Holston O'Pill, the true taste of Ireland.
And cut. Import B camera.
Can I get down now?
I'd want more than 100 grand. You've got to go and buy a new house in another planet.
You walk into a dressing room after you've done that, and there's this kind of this look, there he is, the scumbag. He's done an advertisement, and you get this terrible kind of sarcasm, hey, nice advert, Jack. To which I always said, yeah, it's a nice house as well.
I do cheese commercials and commercials for banks. Most of the guys who started their comic strip have all got large farmhouses in the country and, massive car collections. Inevitably, if you're a snotty-nosed student with, one jacket and 2 T-shirts, you tend to see the world as a place that needs to be taken down a peg or two. Once you're living in Berkshire and you've got 30 acres, you think, the world's, there are a few things wrong with it, but it is pretty good, actually.
Always take comfort and joy from the thought that we are considerably richer than you.
And there's a bit of a problem if you get successful, that you say, that all your comedy material stops being. Well, I was down the shops the other day getting a packet of crisps, and it becomes. Well, I was in Beverly Hills the other day, and I was buying a yacht.
And Italy invented fascism in 1922. Mussolini said, right, we're all fascists, but most Italian people are always on scooters going, ciao. And they're into football and life, and they're not fascists, you know. You say, we're all fascists. All right, ciao.
We started off knocking the establishment. We ended up being the establishment, and the next generation were coming through knocking us. And
Quite rightly so.
That's right. That's right. You know, they should do, because, you know, we've earned a lot of money, we've become famous, we drive big cars, we live in big houses, all that stuff that we were taking the... Didn't I tell you? We were taking the piss out of 10, 15 years ago. That's happened to us. And, of course, it will happen to the next generation as well, and then they'll be lampooned, and that's the way it should be.
Before I start, I've got an announcement to make. I'm afraid there's been an announcement. Ben Elton has, in fact, been injected with a serum which is going to slowly turn him into Bernard Manning.
No, it's all right, Steve. I'm okay. I'm under control. Anyway, yes, indeed. I'm the same Ben Elton you all know, love, and consider just a little bit controversial. Yes, indeed. Anyway, you're on a train. You're walking along the train, and you see someone sitting down there, and you know he looks like a right poof. No, sorry, no.
The alternative people of those days are clearly the establishment. To such an extent that it's, you know, Ronnie Corbett gets a guest spot on Ben Elton's show, the sort of thing that in the 70s we used to, you know, we'd have screeched with laughter.
It's a huge industry now. It's a very successful business, and like any business, I think you lose an awful lot of the soul when that happens. You know, I mean, like, there's loads and loads of really good new people, but they've got 5-year business plans.
So I fell out with my friend. We had an argument over a simple mistake. I said, I'm in a rush, I've got to go, I've got to get a taxi home, it's going to take me half an hour. He said, well, I've got a car, I could run you over. I said, really? I've got a knife, I could stab you in the leg.
Would you like to dance? And she said, no. So did the first thing that came into my brain, I went, would you like to dance? And she said, no, but once I started, I wasn't able to stop, you see. I didn't want to offend anybody. I went through about 150 different women, all saying no. I was beginning to enjoy it. I could hear the priesthood calling me, we want you, we want you, we want you.
The comedy business has absolutely boomed over the last 15 years. I mean, made multi-millionaires out of made millions and millions of pounds for a significant number of people. In books, in films, in touring, in videos. Huge markets out there.
Tony Adams, God love him, a few years ago, drunk out of his mind, on a massive lager bender, doing about 70 miles an hour in his high-powered Sierra up a residential street, completely wrote it off, caught, jailed, on full pay, came out to captain Arsenal in England, learned to play the piano, study English and doing a damn fine job. God love him.
I think the floor is still open for anyone to say whatever they want in the comedy clubs. And there is now more opportunity than ever before for people to voice the type of material which was regarded as exciting and radical 20 years ago.
If I'd had a couple of joints that night, it'd have been banned, hadn't been it? And the ironic thing is, he wouldn't have been doing 70 miles an hour up a residential street. It'd have been parked up at the side of the road, trying to get the airbag out to see what colour it is.
Hi, I'm Alexis Sale. I'm actually your community comedian here. I'm actually an alternative comedian. It means I'm not funny. It's great being here. You know, I used to be quite famous. You know, I was quite a celebrity. I was actually frightened to go out. You know, because I might not get recognised in the cinema. You know.
The times when there's good stuff going on are always much shorter than the times when garbage is going on. You know, occasionally you'll get a brief flowering when people are doing great avant-garde stuff, and then it goes back to the kind of stuff we have now, which is okay, you know. You know, maybe they can only take it once every 10 or 20 years to be challenged. The rest of the time they just want to kind of smile and have a laugh and say, suits you, sir, in the pub the next day.
Oh, suits you, sir. Oh. If comedy remained the same, year after year, relentlessly the same, the audience would simply turn away and turn to something else. It must be an ever-growing, organic thing.
And I used to keep all my makeup in the squirrel hole up the tree. And the squirrel keep makeup on one side, and they keep nuts on the other side. And sometimes I get up that tree, that squirrel will be covered in makeup. La, 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 la. Oh.
I think enough time has passed now to say that the legacy
of those people regarded as alternative, the legacy, the greatest legacy, has to be the next two generations. It was their love children, as it were. I'm talking about people who are now regarded by the media as geniuses, and often are.
Squirrels always eat nuts with two hands, always two hands. And occasionally they stop and go, as if they're going, did I leave the gas on? No, I'm a fucking squirrel.
There's two areas of big touring now. One is the alternative comedians who tour around big places. The others are the very blue, racist, sexist comedians. It's like the yin and yang of comedy. Non-sexist, non-racist, and full-on sexist, full-on racist. So racist and sexist, you'd have to shoot them.
One of the things I hate is comedians who hang about year after year telling the same jokes year in, year out. See, comedy's for the young people, young ideas. You don't catch me hanging about telling the same jokes, stopping young comedians coming up. I'll be happy to step aside. And, what was I saying? I'll be happy to step aside.
It's Alexei Sale. Wow! It's weird, isn't it?
What was I saying?
Even though he does all this comedy stuff, he'll always just be known as Mr. Whitney Houston.
I never like to rail against the present because I think it's a terrible trap to fall into, to say everything was great in my day. It wasn't really. It was a bit more. It was a bit more innovative and stuff, but then it could be, you know.
Oh, great bottom! Love the energy in this.
And this week's winners of Have I Got News for You are Ian and Anne, who have a flaccid six.
Oh, look! It's television's Mr. Sex.
Have a flaccid 16, and Paul and Peter, who have a fully erect 17.
How the television of tomorrow will turn out is anyone's guess, but a quick look at the TV schedules of today shows the enormous impact that alternative comedy has already had. Where once we watched Dad's Army, Hello Hello and Are You Being Served, we're now watching repeats of Dad's Army, Hello Hello and Are You Being Served. However, these are now the alternative, whereas what was once alternative has now become the mainstream. Yes, alternative comedy is dead. Long live alternative comedy.
Hello, Alexei.
God?
Yes, it's God. Feel a bit stupid, do we, Mr. Atheist?
Yes.
Sorry, didn't catch that.
Yes.
Right now, tell us a joke and you can come in. Funny man.
What's brown and sticky? A stick.